in with me, with us. Let's continue to make this community grow. This week, we're in Vayikra studying the Torah portion called Metzora. And let's go into this. I'm going to try my best to use the term that's used and not leper. I've just heard so many rabbis that teach that leprosy is not what this is talking about, the zarat, because leprosy is physical, and this, even though it shows physically, it's a sign of a condition that's outside space and time, shall we say? So, or a spiritual issue. I don't want to use that. So let's get into it. We're in Vayikra, Perek 14, Pasuk 1. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 1. Let's go. The Lord spoke to Moshe, saying, "This shall be the ritual for a Metzora at the time that he is to be cleansed." So this shall be the ritual for a Metzora at the time that he is to be cleansed, when it has been reported to the priest. The priest shall go outside the camp. Notice it has to be reported. I thought that's interesting. The priest shall go outside the camp. If the priest sees that the Metzora has been healed of his scaly affection, the priest shall order 2 live clean birds, cedar wood, crimson stuff, and hyssop to be brought for him who is to be cleansed. Okay, what is the crimson stuff? Bring that red John, we're in Philly, so you say John. Bring that red John for the Metzora. All right, birds, clean, cedar wood, crimson. What is the remedy he should use that he may be healed? Let him, abandoning his pride, regard himself lowly as a worm. Okay, so the crimson stuff is something from a worm, it looks like. A strip of wool dyed. One of the rabbis says a strip of wool dyed crimson. But okay. Interesting. Pasuk 5. The priest shall order one of the birds slaughtered over fresh water in an earthen vessel. And that word for vessel is kli. If anyone's heard of klipot, then you will be familiar with that word kli for one earthen vessel. Okay, verse 6. And he shall take the live bird along with the cedar wood, the crimson stuff, and the hyssop, and dip them together with the live bird in the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water. And in Hebrew, it says hamayim hahayim, living water. Okay. Wow. He shall then sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to be cleansed of the eruption, and cleanse him. And I'm going to change this word so we can get this out of our mind. He shall then sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to become tahor from the eruption, and tahor him, cleanse him, and he shall set the live bird free in the open country. It almost sounds like the with the 2 goats, the scapegoat and the one that slaughtered. It sounds like that ritual. Pasuk 8, the one to be cleansed or made tahor, he shall wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and bathe in the water. Then he shall be tahor. After that, he may enter the camp, but he must remain outside his tent for 7 days. So here's tahor. He's not tameh. He's tahor. He's cleansed. And now he can't be, so he gotta stay in the shed. That's what I understood. Okay. He can come in the camp. He can be in the city, but you got to be in the shed of your house. Okay, Pasuk 9. On the seventh day he shall shave off all his hair of his head, his beard, his eyebrows. When he shaved off all his hair, he shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water. Then he shall be tahor. Or excuse me, I'm saying the wrong pronunciation. Taher. He shall be taher. So on that seventh day, he can come out and hit the shed and do this, wash his clothes and stuff and his body, and then he's taher. On the eighth day, he'll take 2 male lambs without blemish. They're tamim, without blemish. 1 ewe lamb in its first year without blemish. A ewe lamb, in case that's a female lamb, in the first year without blemish. She's tamim. 3/10 of a measure of choice flour with oil mixed in for a mincha. Right? We learned about that. A mincha, excuse me, and 1 log of oil. And these shall be presented before Hashem, the Lord, with the man to be taher at the entrance of the tent of meeting by the priest who performs the taherness. With the priest who performs yikes. I have to do that again. With the priest who performs the taherness, the cleansing. There we go. Okay, Pasuk 12. The priest shall then take 1 of the male lambs and offer it with the log of oil as a, let's see what kind of offering he has to do. I'm thinking it's asham. Yep. So he does it as a asham offering, which in English is translated as a guilt offering, but it's asham. And he shall elevate them, olah them, as let's see what kind of offering we have here. Before tanufa. So is this the waving one? Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so he is going to wave. I had to stop for a second because I was like, wait, it's lambs. So the lamb and the oil, and he's waving that. I don't really know how. I don't understand that one, but that's the tanufa. That's the end of our first reading. Let's get into our second reading. Okay, Pasuk 13. The lamb shall be slaughtered at the spot in the sacred area where the het offering, the sin offering, the het offering, and the olah offering, the burnt offering, are slaughtered. For the guilt offering, the asham offering, like the hatah offering, it goes to the priest. It is most holy. Okay, so remember our offerings. Let's try to stay with the Hebrew words so we don't get things confused. And all right. So you thought, okay, the guy, his skin is okay. There's no more eruption, as it was called. He's good to go. Slept out in the shed for 7 days, got back in there, washed his clothes. He still has to bring the offering for this whole ordeal that he just went through. Why? Because that's what that's what Hashem requires for this situation. And if I remember, I'm going to quote Rev Kessin in this, Rev Mendel Kessin, and he says that a halakha is doing the right task, the right behavior for the right situation. So you have the correct behavior for the correct situation. For this situation, these things must be done. It has nothing to do with how you feel about it. This is just what must be done. Verse Pasuk 14, the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, which is the asham offering, and the priest shall put it on the ridge of the right ear of him who is being taher, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The priest shall then take some of the log of oil and pour it into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in the palm of his left hand, and sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before Hashem, the Lord. Some of the oil left in his palm shall be put by the priest on the ridge of the right ear of the one being cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, over the blood of the asham offering. And remember, blood in Hebrew is dam, like Adam, adumah, dirt, dam. Pasuk 18, the rest of the oil in his palm the priest shall put on the head of the one being taher. So he puts it on him. Thus the priest shall make expiation for him before the Lord. The priest shall then offer the sin offering, and make expiation for the one being taher of his tameh, right? He is being taher of his tameh. He is being cleansed of his uncleanness. Last, the olah offering shall be slaughtered. Okay, so it looks like we're getting to the last of this ritual. And the priest shall offer the olah offering and the mincha offering on the altar, and the priest shall make expiation for him. Then he shall be taher. Okay, follow along with me in Sepharia, or whatever you're using, and let's learn the Hebrew words so that we can understand what's going on here in this wonderful, powerful Torah. That's the end of the second reading. Let's get to the third reading. Pasuk 21. If, however, he's poor and his means are insufficient, he shall take 1 male lamb for a guilt offering, 1 male lamb for the asham offering, to be tanufah, to be waved in expiation for him. 1/10 of the measure of choice flour with oil mixed for mincha, and a log of oil. So instead of doing the 2, he takes 1. And there. But at the end of the day, he still has to do it. And take notice, he's had this, he was tameh, he was not taher, he was tameh, something's going on with his system, and there's something, and you see he has to do, it's like every single offering that we learned about is in this ritual. The hatah offering, sin, the asham, the guilt, the olah offering. He has to do the tanufah offering. The only thing I don't see, and maybe we'll see a little bit later, is the shalamim offering, the peace offering. So you have mincha. So wow, everything is in this ritual. All right, let's keep going. And 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, depending on his means. The one to be the hatah offering, and the other the olah offering. On the 8th day of his taher, he shall bring them to the priest at the entrance of the Mishkan, the tent of meeting, before the Lord. The Ohel Moed, excuse me. This is not Mishkan. It's the Ohel Moed, the tent Ohel Moed of, you might know Moed as appointed time, like Pesach or Shvot or something like that. So the tent of the appointed time, the meeting, which an appointed time is a meeting, kind of. You know where to be. Okay. And the priest shall take the lamb of the asham offering and the log of oil and tanufah them as a tanufah offering before the Lord. When the lamb, Pasuk 25, when the lamb of the asham offering has been slaughtered, the priest shall take some of the dam, the blood, of the asham offering, and put it on the ridge of the right ear of the one being taher, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The priest shall then pour some of the oil onto the palm of his own left hand, and with the finger of his right hand the priest shall sprinkle some of that oil that is in the palm of his left hand 7 times before the Lord. Pasuk 28. Some of the oil in his palm shall be put by the priest on the ridge of the right ear of the one being taher, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, over the same places as the dam of the asham, the same places as the blood of the guilt offering, the dam of the asham offering. And what's left of the oil in his palm, the priest shall put on the head of the one being taher, to make expiation for him before the Lord. And when you see expiation, that is the word kaper. Kaper is atonement. That's the word that we're used to hearing, perhaps, atonement. But here they're using the word expiation. But it's the Hebrew, what's important, it's the Hebrew word kaper. Kaf, pe, resh. Pasuk 30. He shall then offer one of the turtle doves or pigeons, depending on his means, whatever he can afford, the one as a hatah offering and the other as an olah offering, together with the minha. And thus the priest shall make kaper, atonement, expiation, before the Lord for the person, the one being taher. Such is the ritual for him who has a scaly affection and whose means for his taher are limited. Tell me Hashem isn't wonderful, beautiful. It's just beautiful. So look at what all that person has to do. And I know the rabbis say many times a person has gone through, it becomes a Metzora. They get a darat because of a lashon hara, gossip or some type of slander. So just by speaking this, he's afflicted some kind of way. And it's a blemish, if you will, on his spirit. This speaking this slander and gossip. That's one of the, when you read in the commentary, that's one of the things you'll find for the reason that this person is going through this. I'm sure there probably are other reasons, but you really have a long time and money spent and doing things to really think about what you did that would bring you into this condition. It's not just you did this, I'm sorry, and no, this ritual is to really help change you, to make a tshuva, I would suppose. So, okay, that's the end of our third reading. Let's get to our fourth. Pasuk 33, we're still in Perek 14, Vayikra. The Lord spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, when you enter the land of Canaan that I give you as a possession, and I inflict an eruptive plague upon a house, in the land that you possess. So in Hebrew it says, and I inflict a zarat, zaraat, on a house in the land you possess. So here we're getting the conditions for this particular mitzvah or law can't be done until you get into Israel. Okay, but look like you can get ta'arat on your house. That shows you something going on more here than you just rolling around in dirt and getting skin conditions. This is something different going on here. So, Pasuk 35, the owner of the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, something like a ta'arat has appeared upon my house. Where do you go? You go to the priest, the Kohen, and tell him first, the Kohen. And the Kohen shall order the house cleared before the priest enters to examine the ta'arat, so that nothing in the house may become tameh. After that, the priest shall enter to examine the house. Pasuk 37. If when he examines the za'arat in the walls of the house is found to consist of greenish or reddish streaks that appear to go deep into the wall, the priest shall come out of the house to the entrance of the house and close up the house for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall return. If he sees that the za'arat has spread on the walls of the house, the priest shall order the stones with the za'arats in them to be pulled out and cast outside the city into a place that is tameh. And it's interesting that the house is almost treated the same way that the person was treated. Things get cast outside of the city, outside the camp, and things of that nature. Pasuk 41, the house shall be scraped inside all around, and the coating that is scraped off shall be dumped outside the city in the tameh place, the unclean place. They shall take other stones and replace those stones with them, and take other coating and plaster the house. If the za'arat again breaks out in the house, after the stones have been pulled out, and after the house has been scraped and replastered, the priest shall come to examine. If the za'arat has spread in the house, it is a malignant eruption in the house. It is, oh, hey Jordan, it is tameh. Wow. If the plague, let's see what the sages say on that, because that's kind of interesting. That it happens again. Let's see, got any English? From this, one might think that a reoccurring za'arat is unclean, meaning that is, it renders the whole house unclean, only if it spreads. But the phrase za'arat meret, a fretting za'arat, is mentioned in connection with the house, and the phrase is mentioned in connection with the garment, thus making the plague analogous to this. What is the case there? Scripture declares the reoccurring plague unclean or tameh, although it has not spread. And it declares the reoccurring plague unclean or tameh, even though it has not spread. But if this is so, why does it state here, and behold, the za'arat has spread? As a matter of fact, this is not the proper place of this verse and statement. Okay, y'all see how, I'm not even looking at it, it's gonna come back and it's still there. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. They know, but it's like, it's too much for right now. Okay. Pasuk 45, the house shall be torn down, its stones and timber, and all the coating on the house, and taken to an unclean place outside the city. You have no house anymore. This is Nile. I thought this was Jordan. You have no house. Your house is gone. Here now. Baby, go. Go on. Find your brother. Okay, he's back. Whoever enters the house while it's closed up shall be tameh until evening. Whoever sleeps in the house must wash his clothes, and whoever eats in the house must wash his clothes. Now, what if it's raining when all this is happening? Whoa, what a travesty. Pasuk 48. If, however, the priest comes and sees that the za'arat has not spread in the house after the house was replastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, for the za'arat has healed. Let's see. I just want to see. I just want to make sure. Hanaga. Oh, excuse me. Where the plague is, I should be saying Hanaga. Yeah. Okay. Let's just make sure we got. To purge the house, he shall take 2 birds, cedar wood, crimson stuff, and hyssop. He shall slaughter the one bird over fresh water in an earthen vessel. He shall take the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the crimson stuff, the live bird, and dip them in the dam, the blood of the slaughtered bird, and the living water, the fresh water, and sprinkle on the house 7 times. Having purged the house with the blood of the bird, the fresh water, the live bird, the cedar wood, and the hyssop, the crimson stuff. Ow, ow, Niall, your nails. Ouch. Hold on, excuse me. No, you gotta go, bro. There you go. Ow, Niall. I'm sorry, I paused because I see the shoresh foot. Sin, so that must be the verb. Okay, 53. He shall set the live bird free outside the city in the open country, and he shall make kippur, expiation, atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. It shall be taher. Wow. So this person, Mazel Tov, they get to keep their house, and nothing came back. Okay, so we're done in the 4th reading. Let's get into the 5th reading. Such is the ritual for every eruptive affection, for scalds, for an eruption on a cloth or a house, for swellings, for rashes, or for discolorations, to determine when they are tameh and when they are taher. Such is the ritual concerning eruptions. And that word eruptions, it's zara'at. Okay, we're in chapter 15, but we're still in the same reading. Perek 15. The Lord spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when any man has a discharge issuing from his member, he is tameh. The tameh from his discharge shall mean the following: whether his member runs with the discharge or it is stopped up so that there is no discharge, his tameh means this: any bedding on which the one with the discharge lies shall be tameh, and every object on which he sits shall be tameh. Anyone who touches his bedding shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. Whoever sits on an object on which the one with the discharge has sat shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. Pasuk 7. Whoever touches the body of the one with the discharge shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. If one with the discharge spits on one who is taher, what? The latter shall wash his clothes. Ow, Niall, nails. Shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. Did I see that right? Yeah. If one with a discharge spits on one who is clean, if he's tahor, he shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain. Oh my goodness. You could spit on somebody and change their status. Any means for riding. Okay, let me just see what the sages are saying. Sages. Rashi, what you got? And if he, the clean person, comes into contact with the spittle, it actually falls upon him, or even if he bears it, that is, for instance, falling upon a stick which he's carrying. Oh man, if it fell on your cane, if the spit fell on your cane, if the spit fell on your ball cap, if the spit fell on the shoes, you're still unclean until evening. For the spittle communicates uncleanness through carrying it. Wow. Wait. Okay. Pasuk 9. Any means for riding that one with a discharge has mounted. Any means for riding that one with a discharge has mounted shall be tameh. Whoever touches anything that was under him shall be tameh until evening, and whoever carries such things shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. If one with a discharge, without having rinsed his hands in water, touches another person, that person shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. An earthen vessel that one with a discharge touches shall be broken. Niall, so fidgety. And any wooden implement shall be rinsed with water. When one with a discharge becomes tahor or taher of his discharge, he shall count off 7 days for his taherness, his cleansing. Wash his clothes, bathe his body in fresh water, and he shall be taher. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, come before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and give them to the priest. The priest shall offer them, the one as hatah offering, the other as olah offering. Thus the priest shall make a kaper, expiation, atonement, on his behalf for his discharge before the Lord. And that is the end of our 5th reading. 6th reading. When a man has an emission of semen, he shall bathe his whole body in water and remain unclean until the evening. All cloth or leather on which the semen falls shall be washed in water and remain unclean until evening. If a man has carnal relations with a woman, they shall bathe in water and remain tameh until evening. When a woman has a discharge, her discharge being dam, blood from her body, she shall remain in her impurity. And I'm going to make sure that says in her tameh. I'm not sure what that word is. Looks like it. Yeah, I'm not sure. She will remain in her purity 7 days, and whoever touches her shall be tameh until evening. And anything she lies on during her impurity shall be unclean, shall be tameh, and anything that she sits on shall be tameh. And it says in here, in Hebrew, I'm trying to read the Hebrew and English at the same time. So it says during her impurity. So the word that they have in Hebrew for impurity is her nidah, and that's translated as her menses or her menstrual cycle, or her period. Yeah, menstrual cycle. Pasuk 21. Anyone who touches her bedding shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening. And anyone who touches any object on which she has sat shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain tameh until evening, be it on the bedding or be it on the object which she has sat or touching it. He shall be unclean or tameh until evening. And if a man lies with her, her nidah is communicated to him, transferred like the spit, and he shall be tameh 7 days. Like the other one, you spit, you know, tameh for the night. This one, 7 days. And any bedding on which he lies shall become unclean. When a woman has had a discharge of blood for many days, not at the time of her nidah, or when she has a discharge beyond her period of nidah, she shall be tameh, as though at the time of her nidah, as long as her discharge lasts. So this particular discharge is something that's beyond her regular menstrual. Like the other man, for the men, okay, I guess you have semen, that's normal. But the first person we learned about, this guy has got something that's different than the regular. He's got a discharge coming out of his member. That's not a normal thing. And this is the same here with this lady. She's got something that's beyond her nidah, something beyond her menses. Verse 26. Any bedding on which she lies while her discharge lasts shall be for her, like bedding during her nidah. Any object on which she sits shall be tameh, as it does during her nidah. So it's like, treat it, this woman, as long as she's discharging this, she's tameh, and you treat it like when she's on her nidah. So if anybody sits on the bed, they too become tameh. until she gets that done, till that's done, that bleeding is done. Whoever touches them shall be tameh. He shall wash his clothes, bathe in water, and remain unclean or tameh until evening. When she becomes clean of her discharge, she shall count off 7 days, and after that she shall be taher. Okay, and that's the 6th reading. Let's get into the 7th reading. On the 8th day, she'll take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons and bring them to the Kohen at the entrance of the tent of meeting. And the priest shall offer one as a hatah and the other as olah. And the priest shall make a kippur, on her behalf for her tameh discharge before Hashem. You shall put the Israelites on guard against their tamehness, lest they die through their tamehness by defiling my tabernacle, which is amongst them, by defiling my mishkani, that is tameing my mishkan, that is amongst them, which is what I see in the Hebrew. Such is the ritual concerning him who has a discharge, or her, concerning him who has an emission of semen and becomes unclean thereby. Oh no, here the woman's down here. Sorry, thereby. Pasuk 33, and concerning her who is in a menstrual infirmity, and concerning anyone male or female who has a discharge, and concerning a man who lies with a tameh woman. Okay, and that is the end of our Torah Parsha. So let's jump into the Haftarah. Let me get the Haftarah. Where is it? Where did I put you? Oh, it's the regular book. Let's see, maybe it's this one. There we go. Yay! Okay. The Haftarah is 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 3 through 20. Get the little swig. Okay, let's go. Melachim Bet, Perek Sheva, Pasuk Shtay? 2 Kings chapter 7 verse 2. The aide on whose arm the king was leaning spoke up and said to the man of God, even if the Lord were to make windows in the sky, could this come to pass? And he retorted, you shall see it with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it. Oh, I'm sorry. I started the wrong. It's 3 through 20. There were 4 men, Metzoraim, 4 Metzoraim outside the gate of the city. They said to one another, why should we sit here waiting for death? If we decide to go into the town, with the famine in the town, we'll die there. And if we just sit here, we die. So come on, let's let us desert to the Aramean camp. And if they let us live, we shall live. And if they put us to death, we shall but die. Okay, so this is where the Arameans are outside of, are in Israel. I'm not sure which area. And you got these Metzora, and they're like, we're going to die anyway, so we might as well go to the enemy camp and see what they'll do with us, because we know we can't be with our people, basically. They set out at twilight for the Aramean camp, but when they came to the edge of the Aramean camp, there was no one there, for the Lord had caused the Aramean camp to hear a sound of chariots, a sound of horses, the din of a huge army. And they said to one another, the king of Israel must have hired the kings of the Hittites and the kings of Mitzrayim to attack us. And they fled headlong in the twilight, abandoning their tents and horses and asses and the entire camp just as it was, as they fled for their lives. When those Metzora came to the camp, the edge of the camp, they went into one of the tents and ate and drank. Then they carried off silver and gold and clothing from there, and they buried it. They came back and went to another tent, and they carried off what was there, and they buried it. Then they said to one another, wait, we're not doing right. This is a day of good news, and we're keeping silent. If we wait until the light of morning, we shall incur guilt. Come, let us go and inform the king's palace. Let's check real quick, see what the sages say. Why would they incur guilt if they wait till morning? We will be held guilty by the throne, says Rashi. I guess you have to say it by the news by a certain time. Okay. They went and called out to the gatekeepers of the city, their city. We have been to the Aramean camp. There's not a soul there, nor any human sound. But the horses are tethered, and the asses are tethered, and the tents are undisturbed. The gatekeepers called out, and the news was passed on into the king's palace. The king rose in the night and said to his courtiers, I will tell you what the Arameans have done to us. They know that we're starving, so they've gone out of camp and hidden in the fields, thinking, oh, when they come out of the town, we'll take them alive and get into the town. But one of the courtiers spoke up. Let a few of the remaining horses that are still here be taken, that they are like those that are left here of the whole multitude of Israel, out of the whole multitude of Israel that have perished. And let us send and find out. So the courtiers are like, well, let's just see, who knows? They took 2 teams of horses, and the king sent them after the Aramean army, saying, go and find out. So the king sent the horses to find out where the Arameans actually are. They followed them as far as the Jordan and found the entire road full of clothing and gear which the Arameans had thrown away in their haste. And the messengers returned and told the king. The people then went out and plundered the Aramean camp. So a seah of choice flour sold for a shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for a shekel, as the Lord had spoken. Now the king had put the aide on whose arm he leaned in charge of the gate. He was trampled to death by the people in the gate, just as the man of God had spoken, and as he had spoken when the king came down to him. For the man of God said to the king, this time tomorrow 2 seahs of barley shall sell at the gate of Samaria for a shekel, and a seah of choice flour for a shekel. The aide answered the man of God and said, even if the Lord made windows in the sky, could this come to pass? And he retorted, you shall see it with your own eyes, but you shall not eat of it. That is exactly what happened to him. The people trampled him to death in the gate. Okay, well, the Metzora were outside the gate. Wow, okay. So, thank you so much. Hey, if you got any comments, any references, put them in our comment section below. And thank you so much. May you have a Shabbat Shalom and a Shavua Tov. And thank you again for making this community grow. We will definitely be here for the next Torah portion. Thank you so much. Peace.